Hello, everyone. How's your Dreamforce so far? Yeah? Awesome. Welcome to Shine Theory Allyship for Women. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jessica Murphy. I am a Salesforce MVP and admin developer, and I own a small consultancy called Geek Bella Consulting, and you can find me on Twitter. And let Rachel introduce herself. This is Rachel Watson. She is the Tech Architecture Delivery Associate Manager with Accenture, Salesforce MVP. You can also find her on Twitter. We are the co-leaders of WIT Developers. We're also co-founders of Phoenix Salesforce Saturday and co-founders of Sassy Tech Socials. We won't have time for questions today, but we will be over there afterwards if you have any questions. So, forward-looking statement. If you have a drink, drink it. Forward-looking statement. Please make any purchase decisions on the basis of products and services that are currently available in Salesforce. Okay. Allyship. What do we think of when we think about allies and allyship? According to the Anti-Oppression Network, an ally is a person who is active, consistent, and arduous in the practice of unlearning and reevaluating power and privilege. Simply, it means that a person is curious and acts with empathy so everyone can do their best in terms of their lives and their careers. Anyone who has power or privilege over someone else can be an ally. Anyone. So let's talk about the definition. Okay, so marginalized groups find themselves needing allyship from the majority culture. And by definition, this word is used and focused on majority culture. And in tech, that tends to be white, cisgendered males. So I love using this graphic, or using a graphic, because whenever, as the leader of WIT Developers, I type in the word developer, it is so ingrained in society that a developer is a male, that it's always a male, and he usually looks awkward and nerdy. Usually he's typing something, and it's often having something to do with coffee. But let's delve into women in tech, shall we? Women are 51% of the population. But it really becomes interesting when you look at women in tech. Women in tech, all women are 25%. White women, 16%. Asian women, 5%. Black women, 3%. And Latina, Hispanic women, 1% of tech. Oh, but let's couple that with what people are earning. This really becomes fascinating. For every dollar that a man makes, an Asian American woman earns 89 cents. A white woman earns 79 cents. A black woman earns 63 cents. A Native American woman earns 57 cents. And a Hispanic Latina woman earns 54 cents. So these numbers suggest something more than we need allyship from our male brothers and sisters. We also need to have allyship within ourselves, among ourselves as women. But let's back up. How did we get here? How do we get here? These women are some of my heroes when it comes to women in tech. Right here, the first one is Ada Lovelace. In 1843, she became the first computer programmer. She wrote the first computer algorithm. Okay, right next to her is Hedy Lamarr, very famous actress in the 30s and 40s, beautiful woman. But in 1942, she invented frequency hopping technology that it allowed us to have wireless signals like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And oh, this lady here, Admiral Grace Hopper, she's amazing. She imagined English-based instructions that would talk to a computer. Her idea became COBOL, a language that is still being used today. She invented the word debugging because she physically found a bug in a computer that was causing a problem. And in 1967, she actually was interviewed by Cosmo, and she said that women were natural developers. And this last lady is Margaret Hamilton. She and her team basically created software for Apollo and Skylab. But they were just the tip of the iceberg, because we know from the movie Hidden Figures that there were rooms full of women doing this, right? There were rooms full. We know that there were labs where there were white women and women of color, and we know that they were human computers. They were doing the mathematical computations behind the scenes. And here is actually a picture of women working on early computers. And I love showing this graphic when I'm talking about this subject, because we're talking about women in STEM, right? So for medical school, law school, physical science, the numbers go up. But interestingly, when we're talking about women who are using computers, who are working with computers, the numbers go up, 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 and somewhere in the mid-80s, the numbers go down. So what happened? Well, pretty interesting. Men realized that programming was hard and would thus be lucrative. Nathan Ensminger says, he's a researcher and historian, he says that one, there was smear marketing and ad campaigns that encouraged companies not to hire women in development. Two, aptitude tests, which were the measure by which people changed or had majors. They were focused on men, and more interestingly, the answers to these aptitude tests were being circulated among fraternities. Then there's always media. Movies like War Games and Weird Science established this idea of men being programmers and them kind of being awkward and nerdy. And then video games came out in the mid-'80s. Some of us remember those, right? They came out in the mid-'80s, and what happened was that they were focused on men. So we went from 50-50 in terms of computer science to 37%. So notice what I said. I didn't say that the number zeroed out. I said that the numbers went down to 37%. So what happened with the women who remained? They were the few. There were that one woman, that one special woman who got to do that project, that one special woman who got to do that thing. And you know what happened? Women started seeing each other as adversaries, so they could be that one special woman. And Sheryl Sandberg talks about this in her book, Lean In. She says, in the days of tokenism, women looked around the room, and instead of bonding against an unfair system, they often viewed one another as competition, as adversaries. Women wound up being ignored, undermined, and in some cases even sabotaged by other women. And you know what? If I'm honest, I've had my own experiences. Interestingly, I posted this in early 2017. I posted this both on Facebook and on Twitter. And some women began to message me, and they're like, Jessica, girl, listen, I know that your heart is in the right place, but some of the most difficult interactions I've had in the world of tech have been with other women. And I've heard stories of women bullying, pulling rank, trolling, embarrassing others, and picking on each other. But I have hope. I have hope, guys. I believe that we can change attitudes, behaviors, directions, lives, policies, and voices. I truly believe that. In an article written in Cut, Ann Friedman, one of the originators of Shine Theory, says, we should think about envy in a different way. Instead of villainizing women who are witty, stylish, smart, beautiful, savvy, professionally accomplished, we should befriend them. The proximity to greatness will make you better, will make me better. And I can think of no better person who's an example of this than Rachel Watson. So I'm going to give it over to her.
That is incredibly humbling coming from her, right? I think because I've been standing by greatness for so long, so somehow it had to have come this way, right? At least a little bit. Okay, so I know that we have looked at this slide before, but I really want to take it deeper this time. So if a white man makes $60K a year and he retires at 65, he will make $2,700,000 in a lifetime. If a white woman does the same job for the same work, she'll make $47,400. salary compared to the 60K. And over a lifetime, she'll make $2,133,000. That is a difference of over $500,000, specifically $567,000. Okay, let's go all the way down to the bottom here. Get ready to be knocked off your seats. That Latino woman for the same work makes $32,400. Over a lifetime, she makes $1,458,000. That's a difference between her and the white man, $1,242,000 over a lifetime. And the difference between her and the white woman is equally well over $500,000, $675,000. So my question to you is, if you were in those shoes, how would you make up over $500,000 to well over $1 million over a lifetime? How do you bridge that gap for the equal lifestyle? So, we all have seen these research that says that the more diverse the team is, the better the product, the better the service, and guess what? The bigger the bottom line is. It increases. Now, more and more in tech, you're seeing large companies talk about equality and bring equality in. So today is a new day. We are moving on from these old ideals. This is the way of the dinosaur, and we're moving forward into the world of equality. So one of the things that happened in the Obama administration, which I find very, very interesting, is the women didn't feel like they were being heard. So instead of fighting and headbutting, they came together and they said, you know what, we're going to change this. So what ended up happening was something called amplification. So this is an example. Oh my gosh, Jessica, that was a brilliant idea. Represent the idea again and say, hey, Jessica, can you tell us more about that? Or maybe Jessica's shy. Say, hey, Jessica, you know what? I'd really like to hear your perspective on this. So it's about bringing voice to those who don't have a voice. Now, this isn't just the movement for women. It is the forefront, sure, but it goes further than that, because in that administration, Obama started calling on more women, yes, but he started calling on junior aides, the ones with less voice. Junior aides are men and women, so this trickles down too. This brings the quality forward if we all move forward with this ideal. So I want to talk about some of our experiences. We live in Arizona, Phoenix specifically, and we started in tech together. We started learning tech together. And so as you would imagine, we had a very similar resume for a while. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where a company offers the same position, and there's multiple positions. So we both decided to go for this particular position for the same company. The cool thing is we both got the job. But Jessica got offered 50% less.
And I have a master's degree, just putting that out there.
And I don't. So my question is, let me go stand beside her. What's different?
You're taller.
I'm taller. Yeah, absolutely, Mary. I'm taller. That has to be it. Let me give you another example. So another company, similar situation. We both go for the same position, but there's multiples. We're not fighting for that seat at the table, right? And I was explaining to the HR person, I said, listen, I have all these meetings that I have to go to. Then I'm flying out for this conference. I really want to do this interview, but to be perfectly honest with you, the only time that I have is in the car at this particular time from here to here. If you can work with me on that, and I can talk to you while I'm driving, and you're okay with that, then we can do it then, or we're going to have to wait till I come back. They go, oh yeah, we can totally do that for you. I said, okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. And so what they didn't know is that Jessica and I were going to the meeting together. So she was sitting in the passenger seat. Now I'm on Bluetooth, and I was like, just be quiet. Don't say anything. And so I went through the whole entire interview. It was a behavioral interview. It was very intense behavioral interview, but behavioral nonetheless. Now, when the HR person called her, they said, no, we understand that you've got a busy schedule. We understand that you have these meetings and these conferences, but we have to have you come in. She goes, okay. let me see what I can do to work that out. So she set it up. When she got in, what did she expect? Behavioral interview, right? Not so much. An intense technical interview.
They pulled out the whiteboard, I'm just saying.
So, what's the difference? Now, my third example doesn't have anything to do with the two of us. It has to do with our Ohana. And a lady from our Ohana came up to us and said, you know what? The guys aren't listening to me at work. And I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or if I'm just so young. But as the story went on and we inquired more and more about her story, the upside of this was there is a woman that still does this to this day for her. She gives her that voice and says, hey, so-and-so, what do you think about this? Or when she's not there, she says, you know what? So-and-so had a really great idea she was telling me yesterday. I need to bring her in. Let me just email her or let me IM her. So that is a great, great example of the shine theory that we're talking about today. We need to use our privilege for good. So in order to be an ally, we need to have empathy for each other. So we need to open up a conversation. We need to look at, why we say things the way that we do, why we think the way that we do, what actions do we have, how do we feel, why is that person reacting a different way? Open up the conversation. You would be absolutely surprised if you open with open mind and say, you know what, I don't understand your perspective. Can you tell me more about that? It'll enlighten you. So what can we do? First, we can be allies to each other. Carrie Washington at Connections, she said, if you are a woman, are you an ally and a sister to all of the women? So does that mean as a Caucasian woman, I'm an ally to my Caucasian sisters? No. It means that I'm an ally to every single sister, my transgender, my LGBTQ, my Black, my Latina, my Asian, and everybody else. All my other sisters. Having conversations about learning about other people's experiences. We just talked about that, but that is so very, very important. If you don't know how to get involved and try to meet people that don't look like you and everything, this follow the rainbow, there's great ways to do that. You can volunteer for a nonprofit organization. If you want to get involved and meet LGBTQ, go volunteer for an LGBTQ nonprofit. Same with an African American or any other minority. It's a great way to meet people. If you don't know how to start and diversify your feed on Twitter or any of your social media, Mary Scotton talked about this in depth a few years ago. Some of the suggestions of people that you could follow are the Pep Up Tech founders, Amplify, formerly Girl Force, Tammy Lau, Jen W. Lee, Toya Gatewood, Susanna St. Germain, Stephanie Herrera, Aori, Leah McGowan Hare, Natalie J. Egan. These are just a few. See what they're doing, retweet them, and try to understand things from their perspective. Be an inclusive leader. I challenge each of you in your group meetings, in a meeting, just a regular old meeting. Be the voice for somebody else. You can do a gap analysis on your leadership skills and see where things are amiss. Even if you're a fantastically inclusive leader, we can all do better, right? We can all get a little bit better. And we can give other people a voice. See something, say something. It's so very important when you see something, like for instance, somebody says something that's supposed to be funny and you're like, yeah, that was offensive. Go, you know what? I know that you meant this as a joke, but that really wasn't funny and I really found that offensive. See something, say something. Use your privilege for good. And lastly, take a stand. I have to bring this back to Mary Scotton again because she said, you got to be strong. You got to stand up to your bullies. And those people that have been entrenched in this tokenism, you have to let them know that this is not okay. We're going to move on and move into the world of equality. Okay, go ahead. So if you have really benefited from tokenism, if you have been one who has stepped on others, used manipulations and microaggressions, leave that behind. Come join us, because there are changes. This came out of the Women's March. This just proves there's not too few seats at a table. We can make more room for the table so everybody has a voice. We can pull up more chairs and more tables. So please join us in that.
And this is what we think. We will figure this out eventually, and we won't simply shine like flashes of light. We'll be like the sun, luminous, resplendent, majestic, life-giving, and beautiful. When we're strong as humans, we are stronger for everyone. So shine on. I don't shine if you don't shine. We'll be over there. We have a trail mix.